The Canadian Armed Forces carrying out a months-long military exercise in the Arctic to try to show that our country can go it alone in the far north.
Well, the Arctic is very important to Canada. That's why we're going around the communities and showing our support and showing our presence and doing what we can to be prepared for whatever, as always, you know.
There's people, Canadians up here, that are defending them all times of the day. And they're stretching their abilities across some of the most inhospitable terrain and climate that you can possibly imagine. And they thrive. Canadians thrive. That's what I want them to know. They should feel reassured.
So over the past 3 months, Canadian soldiers conducted a 4,500-kilometer snowmobile patrol traveling from the Yukon-Alaska border to Churchill, Manitoba, as part of exercises designed to prepare for a foreign threat. More than 1,000 members of the Canadian Armed Forces braving blizzards and minus 60-degree temperatures while landing planes on the frozen Arctic Ocean and transporting artillery to the northernmost point in Cambridge Bay, Nunavut.
The gravest threat to Canada, especially in the north, comes from the increased movement of Russian infrastructure further and further north towards the Arctic Circle. 70% of our coastline is Arctic interfacing. 40% of Canada's landmass is in the Arctic itself. That very fact puts us in a position to drive not only our domestic but foreign policy and our work with countries across the board. We are, as a government, taking significant steps to enhance the security and protection of the Arctic, including making sure that we invest more than $80 billion in national defense.
Added context, U.S. President Donald Trump's repeated threats to make Canada the 51st state and take control of Greenland, as well as growing tensions with NATO, have prompted Ottawa to rethink the long-standing alliance with our southern neighbor.
There's always a spectrum of threat and severity. So that's our role, is to be ready as a nation to defend our sovereign territory and our people. We prepare and work in a way that's our mandate.
We did our normal checks at the airport. The challenge there being that I think it was minus 40 below, or almost minus 50 with the wind chill. Always fun working in the Arctic, trying to stay warm. So once we got the plane ready, we ran through our normal checks, got the plane in the air and headed out towards the last location we had for the patrol.
Typically, you know, we try to leave relatively early in the morning, or unless there's a window for wind, that we can monitor. So 12 to 14 hours a day.
On the snowmobile? On
the snowmobile, yeah.
You can have like minus 40, but if you have strong winds going the wrong direction, people will get severe frostbite. So it's everything. We're obsessing about it as a decision maker.
With the wind, we're talking about minus 50, 60, probably minus 70 at times with the one riding in the snow machines. The coldest on the thermometer was about minus 46.
The Rangers do their job very well. That, I think, is part of the component. But I'm also super happy that there's NORAD, that the Canadian Army sends up 6 to 1,000 soldiers every year to participate and work with the Rangers. So we do the guiding and the reconnaissance and the eyes function. But all the rest of the stuff, that component from the Army, the Air Force, and then the Navy in the summer, I'm super reassured. And plus all the allies that we work with, like the Greenlanders, the Danish were over working with us this year. We had some British people over. Like, having all those different components makes me super reassured. I think it's the right way to legitimately defend the Arctic.
It's a very good relationship, military to military. I really appreciate that relationship of trust with our military allies.